Hi everyone, this is Paul here for the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm going to be talking about the Sun's passage through Scorpio, starting on the 23rd of October and finishing on the 22nd of November when the Sun moves into Sagittarius, and discussing the general themes this involves. Now, Sun in Scorpio is all about shining light on the need for transformation. With the Sun in Libra, ideally what we'd be doing is developing greater awareness of ourselves through relationships. This is a mental kind of awareness. Libra, being an air sign, deals with the mind rather than the emotions. So during this transit of Sun through Libra, the light has been shone on where we're projecting our own shadow onto other people, where is other people mirroring back to issues that we haven't dealt with, or possibly they may be highlighting hidden potential within us that we haven't tapped into, and these would be the people who inspire us. Now, with the Sun's passage into Scorpio, this is the next step along, which is transforming all of that. So whilst Libra brings two things together and holds them in balance with one another, Scorpio is about the polarization of these two extremes. So it's about splitting the positive and negative. So take any given issue we're encountering light and dark, Scorpio polarizes it, so splits it into the two extremes, so we can see the positive and negative manifestation of something. And then ideally what we do from there is we recognise this positive light quality of us and we jettison the egoic dross. So this is what we'll be focusing on with Sun in Scorpio, and obviously with Jupiter having moved there recently, this will be a major theme for the next year alone. But for the Sun's passage through Scorpio, this will highlight it at the level of identity. So this is where, if our identity is based on our ego or based on shadow issues that we've not dealt with yet, then Libra would have been challenging us to see those parts of ourselves, the parts that we claimed as our identity, but actually parts of the ego projecting negativity onto other people. Scorpio is about getting rid of that, is breaking the ego wide open and casting out all the lower, the base energies within us. Now, we can actually see this process going on in nature during autumn. If you look at deciduous trees in the north, i.e. they're shedding their leaves around this time, what they're actually doing is the leaves have come to the end of their useful life. Because we're moving into colder periods, the trees there's no point holding on to the leaves to do photosynthesis because there's not going to be enough light. So what the trees do is they withdraw their life force from the leaves, which are no longer classical part of them, and they let all of the leaves drop. So whatever is no longer required, what is no longer part of us or no longer suitable, is dropped, so that only the authentic self is left remaining at the end of it. So if we observe nature, it's teaching us the wisdom of the cycles all the time, and Scorpio can be seen through deciduous trees and plants in general dropping their leaves because they're no longer required. The stage, they're withdrawing their life force inwards to their core, where it will stay there until the next time we need to focus on outward growth, which will be in spring again next year. But for now, for us, it's about looking at things like emotional attachments, emotional patterns which are inappropriate, insecurities around other people which stem from inequalities of power. So by this I'm talking about, do we get jealous of other people? Do we feel envy? Do we feel powerless and feel the need to lash out as a result? Because these are all inappropriate responses to situations. We may have developed them years ago when we didn't know any better. We may not have been old enough at the time to understand things, and so we just lashed out impulsively. But now these responses are no longer appropriate. They serve the function, but we need to let go of them in order for us to continue to rise on the path of consciousness. Because if we don't deal with our attachments, we don't deal with emotional issues which are buried in the subconscious, and usually they only come out in relationships. So yes, this transformation can be done by anyone, but we only truly get to know our shadow side by what other people trigger within us. And it's not because that person is trying to do anything to us necessarily, it's just that person will mirror back to us something that may have happened in the past, and it's something that we need to let go of, because otherwise it's going to tarnish our present and our future. If we don't let go of the past, we can't embrace our full power, because we'll be investing too much of our energy in the past, which has already been. We can't change it. So it's a very human thing to do, but it's actually a major waste of our energy. So it just creates this weight in the mind that's built up from all the emotional charge, all the pent up energies, pent up resentments, anger. They create a weight in the mind which pulls us down. It prevents us from seeing the big picture and prevents us from learning to trust people properly. With Scorpio, one of the most powerful forms of spiritual alchemy we have is forgiveness. With Scorpio is that stage of forgiveness where we're facing all those emotions from the past, we're facing the emotional charges, understanding our cues and triggers, and we're learning to release them. So we recognise that we cannot change the past. If we wait for another person to apologise for us due to perceived slight, it may never happen. Is it really worth holding on to that wound then out of pride if we may never get any kind of validation for it? Or is it time that we do the right thing for ourselves and let go of these old issues, to accept the fact that we cannot change it, we can only change our response to it or our feelings about it? And this is the nature of forgiveness. It's not condoning another person's actions where they've hurt us. It's not making it okay for the other person to hurt us. It's an act of self-healing, of facing our own wounds and recognising that we don't need to hold on to these anymore. They don't actually help us in any way. They hold us back and prevent us from living the best life we possibly can. So the more we can take that inward journey into our emotional side and journey through the heart to clear out all of the heavy stuff that we hold within ourselves and let it all go. Because it's only when we can surrender this need for validation, or this need to be proven right, that we can surrender to the mysteries of life, the mysteries of the universe, the mysteries of God, call it what you like. But whilst the ego is in charge or in control, and whilst we continue to act out on old emotional patterns which are inappropriate and based on old situations that no longer happen, if we don't face these issues and transform them, we'll always keep getting what we've always gotten. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. This is one of the lessons of Scorpio. If we don't learn to accept responsibility for transforming our own selves, for transforming old patterns into new energy, because the energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. And of all the signs in the zodiac, Scorpio has more power than any other to transform the energies within us and make that transition out of the darkness and into the light. Libra brings balance to the two energies and brings mental awareness of it, but it is Scorpio that creates the permanent transformation that allows us to see where's the shadow side still in control through not releasing residual emotions, and learn to feel them and expel them from the system so that it's no longer holding us in the past. Scorpio is also about the challenge of trusting people and power dynamics. Now, more often than not, we often start off with a lower, until we become very conscious of ourselves. More often than not, we'll have these residual emotions at the bottom that, when we're triggered, we act like the Scorpion, which is the first level of consciousness in Scorpio. So this is where, in the face of a perceived danger or perceived slight, we may withdraw initially, but that's only so we can attack without warning later on. So this is the very reactive side of Scorpio, and ideally we need to let go of, so that we can, because this is the powerless side of Scorpio. It's a side that sees power as external. It's not something that we have within us, and we have to control the environment around us in order to feel powerful. Now, the next stage we need to engage with Scorpio is the eagle phase. So this is where we come out of that need to hide in a hole or go away festering with resentment, looking for ways to attack back. With the eagle, it's becoming aware of these patterns within us and recognising what we are doing and the harm it's causing, and the fact that whilst we're doing that, we're actually giving away our power. We're not attacking another person is not a sign of power. It's usually a sign of powerlessness, and I need to try and overcome this feeling. And powerlessness comes from the ego. It's not who we truly are. We are all powerful beings in our own way, but we have to know ourselves in order to acknowledge this. And the eagle, because it can fly above the storm, it can look down on these issues. It creates a certain element of detachment from the emotional cues and allows us to look down on them and understand what is going on, to become more self-aware of our emotional responses and the deeper recesses of our mind where the emotional charges are stored, where the triggers all are, based on attachment. And the eagle's ability to fly above the storm indicates the first stage of detachment from this. It's separating ourselves from those cues and seeing them objectively and recognising what is going on. So by doing this, we start getting in touch with our power. But this isn't the final stage. With the eagle, it can still use that power that's been liberated from our energies to try and control other people or build itself up externally. The final stage of Scorpio is the phoenix. This is the where we go through that spiritual alchemy of transforming everything. So that's fire of transformation, which burns away all the negative energy. It burns away the egoic desires, the egoic need for control, the egoic emotional cues, and allows us to liberate ourselves completely, so that we see things. We recognise that we are vessels in touch with that primal cosmic energy at the heart of who we are. With the phoenix, we become agents of transformation. We transform ourselves, and in the process of transforming ourselves, that energy radiates out and transforms the environment around us. And this is the highest level of Scorpio. It's the ability to die to the old. It's in order to become the new, to embrace the new, and radiate that power. Because when Scorpio is operating at its highest level, we start to understand divine love. So we're no longer loving someone for what they can give us, or loving someone out of a need for security. We love ourselves enough to know who we are at the deepest levels of our being, and we can radiate that love out to other people. It may be a detached kind of love where we don't have an emotional attachment to of another person, but we can still love them unconditionally. But if we do not go through this act of surrender to wipe the slate clean of emotional attachments and emotional conditioning, then we'll continue to engage in power dynamics, control dramas, and continue to get hurt by the past, rather than recognising that it's no longer who we are. It may have helped to form us, but who we are now is not who we were at the time we got hurt, and we no longer need to hold on to it. So the more we can take that inward journey, to let go of the old self, to be reborn anew, the more light we can shine into the world around us, the more warmth we can give to others, and the more by empowering ourselves, we empower other people to take responsibility for our lives. We cannot lecture other people on taking responsibility and transforming themselves. We have to embody it. That is the only way to truly teach another person how to do it, is by doing that work ourselves. Because that act of self-transformation, of letting go of the old, is one of the biggest acts of self-love we can give ourselves. To forgive ourselves and to forgive other people. Through this forgiveness, we liberate ourselves and we liberate other people to take responsibility for their actions, and we're no longer tied to another person emotionally. That tie is severed, and they no longer have any control over us. So I hope Scorpio, the transit of the sun through Scorpio, brings much transformation, brings much light to that which is dark, and allows you to make your unconscious mind conscious, so that you can choose another way. So you can choose a way that will empower you, allow you to feel love for others, and allow you to release the past, so you can see yourself for who you are, not who you've been told you are. or how you thought you were. When we know ourselves, we can be an example to others. And this is the final gift of Scorpio, is the liberation from the past, so we can be who we are and show other people that there's another way, based in love, based in mutual trust and mutual sharing of power, rather than trying to control and dominate others. May the sun's passage through Scorpio bring you much awareness, much transformation and many blessings. Take care.